Hello. Well, okay, they're all leaving me. Okay, cool. For the audio listeners, the rest of the hosts have just immediately left. Should I do the same?
No. That's okay. You stay there.
I deserve this. Welcome to episode 9 of Zero Strategy. Thank you for joining us. I hope you're doing well today. We've been doing good with back-to-back episodes. I'm proud of us. We've got a lot to talk about this week. We've got a couple of good topics. But as always, I am joined by some of my fellow hosts here. Polar.
Hi.
Words. We talked about this.
We discussed this, Polar, for goodness sake.
We've worked on this. It's called hello, and you say it politely.
We have got the mighty Kibbles.
Hello, and I'm saying it politely.
Thank you. We have got
Sure,
Just
right in
Grog.
Hello.
Hello. And we
Politely. Fuck.
have the Cyber Project as well.
Hello.
We're also joined by our special guest today, Jimbo. What's up, Jimbo?
Well, hello there.
Hello. So we'll start off the same way we start off every week, which is a brief catch up with everybody, and then we will get to know Jimbo a little bit more, and then we'll get into a couple of topics for the day. So we're gonna go in the same. No, we're gonna go backwards order. Cyber, what have you been up to this past week?
Valorant. I love that game. Absolutely love it. I've been spending my quarantine life trying to get healthy, drinking pretty much smoothies every day, and then just playing games. If you haven't played Valorant, do it. It is so much fun.
Gotta get a
Absolutely
drop
love it.
first. Exclamation point drop. Good. Grog, what have you been up to?
I've been playing a lot of Warzone.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Warzone. It's very, very good. I like it very, very much. I think I've heard Kibble say, "Yeet!" like more times. More times this week than I have heard anyone say that in my entire life. That's very good.
Excellent.
Gets the blood pumping.
Kibbles, what about yourself?
Kinky.
A lot of Warzone.
Same story. I've
Just
seen you guys
Warzone.
absolutely grind in Warzone.
Yup. Yeah. Yee.
All
Have
right.
you played
good.
anything else? What Warzone?
I played a few hours of Persona 5 Royal. I was super excited for that to come out, and then I got real hooked in Warzone, and it hasn't been anything else.
Oh, Lauren and I played Overcooked, and we're still married.
Oh, excellent.
So
Which
I'm,
is
I'm glad to hear.
That's pretty good.
That's big.
Rachel and I were only able to
Progress.
make it through 30 minutes of that.
GG's.
All right, and Polar, what have you been up to, man?
The exact opposite is Cyber, because Valorant's garbage.
Ooh, that's a hot take.
No, I just don't get it, and it's dumb, and it's stupid.
Is it because you're bad at it?
These damn kids.
He's taking I want to be healthy. I'm drinking smoothies and shit. Well, I'm doing the exact opposite, Cyber. I am stuffing my face full of fried burritos. I would say booze, but honestly, there's no more in the house.
The continent.
Polar, I
The
have to
shakes
ask
have
you,
started. I mean, they
Why-
come and go.
why would you say something so brave yet so controversial?
What, with
I have to
Valorant
know.
or the
Yeah.
booze? I have a problem. Is that brave?
Yeah. Moving
It's
swiftly on.
honest, at least.
I've been much the same. I've been kind of jumping between. I did a lot of Warzone and a lot of Valorant too, and I'm having a lot of fun with both games. So I'm bad at both games, so I need carried. That's what you gentlemen are here for. So but it's a good time. I'm enjoying both games. So Jimbo, want to kind of get to
Hello.
know you a little bit. Do you want to tell us about where you started on Twitch or YouTube or wherever, and kind of what you do on your channel? Give us the elevator pitch, if you will.
So, Twitch-wise, I started in way back in 2014, but it was only like a couple of streams here and there. Yeah, when I didn't really have the PC to start back then, and then 2017. I know from it being the 8th of November 2017 because I played Battlefront 2 for like a month and a half, and had to dodge everyone just being like, microtransactions, it's such a bad game. I'm like, the gameplay was great, but side project. And then I played a lot of Destiny, and I'm now trying to transition into full variety content. But with YouTube, I started back in 2008. I did a few like videos here and there, and then I started my ItzJ1mb0 channel in 2012, and then I used to do FIFA videos. So like every
Okay.
year the new season would come out, and because I live in Birmingham, I would be the only person on YouTube that would pump out Birmingham City career mode videos, and that's where I kind of got my start on that. That's where a majority of my subscribers are on YouTube. But yeah, just gaming stuff and all that jazz.
Interesting. Yeah. So that kind of leads us into the first topic of today, which is going to be around the topic of variety streaming, which I think all of us do a little touch of, but I kind of want to dive a bit more into it because I know, like you mentioned, it's something that you're sort of doing at the time, like currently. So would you say, because we met through Destiny, I believe, originally, right?
Yes, I think I met you through Addy.
Yeah, that probably sounds about right.
Yeah.
And that's so like, because obviously the Destiny community, we all sort of roughly know each other in some way, shape, or form. But were you main Destiny at that point? Was that your only game, or was that like on the side?
So I remember I played Battle for the first couple of months. I played Battlefront. Then I did Curse of Osiris. Ooh, yikes!
Yeah.
And then then I did a bit of Overwatch and something else. I think I did Fortnite at the time. Maybe Fortnite was
who did? Who
blowing
did?
up. And then from middle of Warmind, I played Destiny like nonstop until Drifter.
Okay.
Season of Drifter came out, and then jumped back in Opulence, played a crap ton for Shadowkeep, and then kind of started to get a bit not annoyed, but I suppose disheartened by Season of Dawn, and then we are where we are with Destiny right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot that could be said, but
It's a shit show. I'll say that.
Definitely needs some work. All right, so I guess my kind of question is like, with being so heavily focused on Destiny, which is something that I can relate to, being mainly a Destiny sort of channel with terms of content and things. What was kind of your strategy? What did you do when you decided, okay, I'm going to sort of transition to variety? What was your plan going into that? How did you kind of approach that?
I suppose it was one, needing a new challenge and motivation, because there's no, like, when you sign on every day, you have like a goal. Like, you guys have got trials on a weekend. So like that Friday to Monday was like, let's go, and you know, get into like whatever we're doing for that weekend. But as a PvE player, there's not really much to do. So I was kind of like, I really enjoy other games apart from Destiny. I just don't have time to play them. But I'm always keeping up with the games industry. And then the plan was that find games and just keep up to date per se with newer releases, the ones that I'm hyped for. So obviously, I kind of been kind of soft getting into franchise runs. Franchise runs are great places to start. For example, Ori and the Blind Forest, played that, and then I knew that Will o' the Wisps was coming out, so then jumped into that. Then we have Doom, and then Doom Eternal, and it's just I'm interested in a lot of games. I have loads of different interests, so it's just making sure you have like a consistent through line, because sometimes it's like, oh, I want to play that today, I want to play that today, I want to play that today, rather than it just being, okay, today we're going to get through Doom, and then when we've got through Doom, we can jump onto something else. Then the viewers can kind of, they get a bit of a schedule. They know what to expect. And that's what goes through my head. The transition is more of just how games feel, I would say. Like, for example, Ori is quite a bit different to Doom in the sense of one is about a nice little sprightly character and the other one is about ripping and tearing demons' hearts out. So it's all about trying to figure out what the best games are for you. And then I kind of relate a couple of things as well. So a couple of through lines I would say for all of the variety games is potentially 100% in the game and playing on the hardest difficulty or somewhat the hardest difficulty. So I've beaten both Ori's on the hardest. I'd already beaten Doom on the hardest before, but I just wanted to get through it to Doom Eternal. And then I just beat a Nightmare, which
I've heard that's no easy task.
It's there's an enemy in it called a Marauder, and he, like all of the other enemies in the game, are great, but this enemy, you have to be within a certain range for it to do an attack that you can counter. If you're too close, he'll shotgun you. If you're too far away, he'll throw projectiles at you. The spacing's mixed up in certain scenarios, so it just ends up being spammy, and he'll just throw out loads of projectiles at you, and you're like, okay, I'm dead. But yeah, that's pretty much the only issue. But Doom Eternal was pretty fun. Yeah, that's kind of like my 2 cents in it.
Jimbo, do you ever go so far as to like schedule out a month's worth of content in advance, or are you just thinking more I have this chunk of material that I want to tackle. After that, I have an idea of like, oh, well, I'm going to do Doom and then Doom Eternal. But then like when it's done, you have a sense of like, well, I know what I'm doing on Tuesday. I also know what I'm doing Friday. Or is it like just a little more like, well, when I'm done, I'll just kind of shift onto the next thing I'm kind of itching to play? Or do you have like how granular is the detail?
So I have I plan out the month, but I plan out the month of like imagine checkpoints, right? So I just posted. I don't know whether I could post this in the thing because I don't even be able to see it, but I literally did this last month, and then I did. I don't know if you can bring them up on screen or not, but basically, I have my checkpoints. So Doom, I started on March 30th, and I was going to complete it earlier in the month, but I then got ill, so I've had to self-isolate for 7 days and all that jazz that we will keep off topic anyway. But then I've managed to like catch up with Doom, and then if you see where I've got community games or games that are kind of like stopgaps. So instead of being like, well, I have to beat Doom today or I have to beat this today, I can be like, well, I played a game for myself. Tried to make some entertaining content off of it. Let's play with the community and see what my guys want to play. So Sea of Thieves, I'm looking at State of Decay, games that I enjoy that also don't have a stupid amount of memory on my hard drive, i.e. Warzone. That's why I'm not playing it. It's like 150 gigs and I'm only going to play it like 3 times.
Yeah.
So it takes you like 2 weeks to download it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why like Valorant is great. Sea of Thieves is great. What other games is there? There's Moving Out is coming out pretty soon.
Oh, I saw that.
Which is like Overcooked, but you're basically movers instead, which is pretty cool.
Grog, I thought we could play
it
together and see if our friendship survives. You know,
I'd be down to try that.
I don't know if I think it's 4 players, the same as Overcooked.
Right.
But yeah, always keeping on top of things and making sure that you know what's coming out in the next month. Because Steam has updates that will have games. For example, Minecraft Dungeons got delayed. That was going to be coming out later on this month, and that got pushed back to end of May. So it's kind of good to have those games. Like I've also got a backlog of games that I'm ready to pull out. I've got Dark Souls 3 that I'll probably play through. Subnautica. Yeah, I've just got like a lot of long list, but just games I want to go back to. If it's a bit, because like the August month, like July and August tends to take a downturn with games, I should say.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I have a couple more questions kind of around that. First of all, when you did make that move to more variety content, how did you find like your audience react to that? Were your community really supportive about that? Did they want to see specific things? How did that work?
My community are generally very supportive. There's always going to be, you always have to prepare yourself for viewer loss or whatever. Not viewer loss, but I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. Like
Yeah, I
movie
know what you
tension
mean.
goes down a little bit because everyone's been so used to me playing Destiny. But if they're not seeing me play Destiny and enjoy myself, I've had a blast the past month of doing loads of different games, and the same people will always stick by you. And I've made sure I keep them in the loop. Like I'm always updating them on what I'm doing this week, or I'm always updating them on Twitter or what I'm doing in Discord. I'm always going, okay, this is what I've got planned, guys, and then they can give me shit for it if I don't do it. Like for example, I decided to do a bit of Sea of Thieves when I was like in the middle of um, Doom, Doom Eternal, and one of my mods, Photus, was just like, "Ree, why are you not playing Doom, Ree?" And I was just like, "Because I want to play Sea of Thieves today." But yeah, that's it's all about making sure they're prepared for any form of change
Yeah.
because I know that firsthand being autistic. Dealing with change is quite hard, sometimes or drastic change. So I've always learned that from my own thing is make sure people are prepared. People know what's happening. It's like a TV show. People are going to be like, oh, this week Brian is going to die on Family Guy. So when it happens, they're like, oh, we totally didn't know that was going to happen, but it's still cool anyway, right?
Yeah.
That's just what I did, and I make sure that they're always supportive. They're making clips, and it's actually been more engaging to get people in rather than me just being deadpan bored playing Destiny. Right?
Sure.
I still have a lot of love for Destiny. I'll still play it on stream. It's like one of my favorite games of all time. But it's just like, hey, why don't you come and play with me? Like a Praxic Hunter. I played yesterday with him. We played Sea of Thieves. I got people in for obviously we played Valorant the other day. Me and a couple of people in my stream. And yeah, it's just getting people involved because that's probably what the best thing is.
Yeah,
Sorry if I talk too much or rant too much.
No, you're
Oh,
good.
no, you're good, dude.
So it sounds like obviously the main thing for you was keeping your community up to date with what was happening. You mentioned obviously that you kind of have a plan of a list of games sort of that you want to go through. So your strategy to that, I'm assuming, is maybe just like a weekly post in your Discord or on your Twitter to say, "Kind of here's the weekly plan," so people know what to expect. I think that's a really solid idea as well, and it's something I wish I was better at doing, but I'm so like hot and cold with what I'm doing on each particular day that it doesn't necessarily. Like I know I couldn't keep up with that, if you know what I mean.
I tend to be, because my mind is always busy. I like to be doing things like even if it's before or after stream. So like before stream, I'm like editing a video or making extra content to then upload it. So I've got it like a few days in advance, and then I've like got videos scheduled. And then when I go live, I'm obviously engaged with the stream. And then when I finish stream, I'm doing all my thumbnails, making sure people are updated, going into streams, tweeting out like.
Do you hear that, Cyber?
It's it's all me just kind of.
Do you have Notepad
keeping
open?
my mind
Are you-
going.
Yeah, no, I
Screw you guys, right?
The only other thing I wanted to kind of ask for you specifically is like I know you've got a couple of like series that you post on YouTube, and like certainly recently I've seen like huge uptick in like the amount of content that you're putting out to YouTube. Like there's way more videos getting uploaded there, and you've got series like you had the Why We Game series, right? Which, if I'm not wrong, it's content that you're recording live on your stream and then repurposing that for YouTube. Is that right?
Pretty much all of the content that I do, apart from the newest video that I'm bringing out, and maybe the Sea of Thieves stuff, which I kind of like did some subtitling stuff on. But I uploaded that when I was like half dead on Saturday. So.
Well, see, that's another thing that I do as well, is that repurposing the content is huge when you can do it, and just trying to put it in a format that works for YouTube is something I think that I've noticed is something you're good at with the little shows like the Indie Spotlight, right? Which is, there's a couple of games I've never heard of that I've watched your videos and been like, okay, this is cool. How do you kind of pick those games for like the Indie Spotlight? Is it just literally, okay, this looks interesting, I've not heard of it? Are you kind of going for new games that are coming out? What's your strategy with that?
So the way that I like categorize games is new release or new release like hype, community games, and then indies, indie spotlights or backlog. So with indies, I follow a couple of channels on one on YouTube called Get Indie Gaming, and he will post like either weekly videos or monthly videos, like what's coming out for the month of April, what's coming out for the month of May, what are you most excited for, games you missed out on. I'm also signed up to 3 sites. One is Keymailer, the other one is Terminals, and there's another one called Arsenal.gg. And Keymailer, basically, you put your channel in, all your credentials, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, etc., and then they have like lists of the games that are coming out, and you can request keys, and then you can get them. Just developers will send you a key, and you can get into them. And then it's also from watching those YouTube videos. That's how I watch, or I'm able to get like a game. So, Rhythm of the Gods, which was like a dancing. I'd say it's like a rhythm-based dancing hack and slash game.
Yeah.
Right. Which like imagine Guitar Hero, but with like hack and slash. Right. So you have like a rhythm and you have to do like the different things on it. Hyper Parasite, I got a key for them, and then I follow the devs on Twitter. And those are the types of shows. But to like kind of bring it back to the content that I put out. So any game series that I'm playing, I will try and record the footage and then cut it down to like good moments. So Doom has got a lot of easy moments to kind of cut down because there's Slayer challenges where you're in an arena and you have to fight a bunch of enemies. So that's easy to go, especially when it's on Nightmare. That's easy to find because you can find the start point, end point, and usually they last about 4 to 5 minutes, depending on how good I am, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what I'll do is if I start a point, but I die midway through, it takes me a couple of attempts. That's easy to just cut that block out and then go to the actual attempt where I beat it.
Right.
And then I just slap a couple of those together, and there you go. That's like the playthrough stuff, because I didn't want to do what I did before with Ori, which is where I would record the entire playthrough and cut it into half an hour segments. That one takes a lot of time up for my computer because it's rendering, so I don't tend to do anything while it's rendering. But it's also not fun to watch.
It's tough.
As in, like, it just like every couple of minutes.
I imagine it's probably hard to find like a natural break if you filmed like a whole chunk of content. Like you might like want to cut it at a part where that feels natural and organic versus like, oh, I've reached my arbitrary 20-minute mark, I'm cutting.
Another
now.
good point as well with Doom, which is why it's great for content, is when you beat a level, on certain levels, you go back to the Fortress of Doom. Fortress of Doom is like a little hub. So when I go back there, I can stop the recording, mess around in that area, because I don't really like to give away the story too much. So people can kind of like, if they're really into it, they just want to see the gameplay of it to see what it's like. There's good stop points that I can do. Also the same with Ori as well. You could beat a guy. Bit different when you're on Sea of Thieves because it's more of like a slow burn game.
Yeah.
There's moments that are pretty good, but it's hard when it's like 4 hours and there's like not that many high intense moments. So that's why I kind of haven't made much Sea of Thieves content. But with the series stuff that you're talking about, I love games and I like talking about them and I like giving people experiences that they may not get to see. You yourself, Condi, you said that you haven't heard of the indie games. I haven't heard of them. So if I haven't heard of them and you haven't, why not just put them out and then people be like, oh, I like that type of game. Or if you're into like twin stick like shooters, like top down, Hyper Parasite's a perfect game. I got a key for Broomstick League, which is basically Quidditch. So I'm gonna try that out. And then the why we game stuff. Usually, it's more of a discussional based thing that I haven't really thought of any topics for in previous times. So I used to make it a lot about Destiny,
Yeah.
and then I've kind of transitioned away from it. And then what other ones? What the video that I'm bringing out on Tuesday is called Closing Thoughts. So a lot of times, if you go online and you find a review of a game, it's usually they've played the game and they give you like this in-depth review. The graphics are like, hey, like 9 out of 10. Bungie, no, Bungie's game is amazing. IGN. So
Yeah.
you don't really care about it because it's IGN. But the way I will do it is closing thoughts, talk about my experiences, positives, negatives, and would I recommend somebody buy it? Because that's the biggest question a lot of people will ask. It's like, should I get this? It's like, I'd say maybe, like, for example, I'm going to be getting the new Resident Evil and playing that. I've heard and looking online that it's around 6 to 8 hours long. So is that a valuable purchase for you?
Yeah.
That's like a full $60 game too, right?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I would be like, my big philosophy that I've always stuck by is it's from an original $1 1 hour, but more like £1 1 hour. So the amount of money that you pay, theoretically, you should be able to get that amount of money back, like from experience. So if you pay £30 for a game, if you can get 30 hours out of it, then you've made your money. So by that math, Bungie owes me money.
I think a lot of people would agree with you on that one.
I'm owed several $1,000s.
So, but that it's just basically giving people little, because I think someone, can't remember the YouTuber that said it, is people will come to a video either for an entertainment purpose, or they have a problem that they want the answer to.
Mm.
So that problem could be, should I buy Doom? My answer is, if you like Doom, or the more long form thoughts. Yeah, that's all the content that I try and do. Lots of different ideas.
Yeah.
And now I've got a green screen. I can kind of do the things that I want to without them. It feels a bit more engaging.
Yeah.
Which is something that I'm really happy about.
For sure. I think one of the strengths with the indie stuff as well, if you're looking at it purely from like a business or numbers standpoint, is like if you can be the first person on a game and that game happens to just blow up, you're already there on the ground floor, you're not getting in late. You know, all it would take is for one of these games to just suddenly become huge and that video could just blow up, right? So getting as much content out, sort of casting the net wide, as it were, you know, can be a very, very good strategy. And, you know, if it's content that you're interested in, I mean, as a streamer, I'm sure we all get asked, oh, should I buy this? I hate that question because I never know what to say. It's always just like, well, I like it, but you might not. So that's about it. Like, I really have no further kind of review. Like, I'm just not good at reviewing things or putting my thoughts out there. So, like, obviously we talked, like, with the Switch 2, sort of more variety. You kind of, it seems like you've had it pretty well planned out. You keep your audience, your community updated. What about anyone else that does kind of, I know Kibbles does quite a lot of variety stuff, jumps around. Do you have a strategy in terms of that? You're smiling like you don't, but what's your kind of strategy?
Well, I had a strategy, and I was gonna go with the solid thing of I'm gonna do this game this day and this game that day, and then I started playing Warzone, and that's been the last 2 weeks, and all my other plans went away. I played Overwatch, I think 1 or 2 times since then.
Yeah, I've seen you go live with Overwatch. Yeah.
Everything else has been Warzone because it's like, oh yeah, I'll do Minecraft on Thursday. I'm like, I'm gonna play some Warzone because
yeah, you just get that one game in your head, and I get it. It's much the same for me.
Yeah.
But then again, for you, I know like what I've noticed with your channel is it's like you do a block of a game until you're kind of done with that, and then move on to something else.
Yep.
Which I think is
I get
a good way of doing
relentlessly
it.
bullied by chat saying I don't finish games. So I finished like 6 out of 30 games.
That's
so
not great.
It's a good ratio.
It's 6 games
I'll
that
give you
weren't
that one.
completed before. Persona 5 was like 140 hours.
However, should we? I mean, given the topic at hand, should we not be applauding his variety?
I guess so. I guess
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
I don't think I've ever played 30 games. It's just Destiny. That's it.
Can you count all the expansions individually for Destiny?
True. Yeah, one day I play Crucible, then the next day I play slightly different Crucible. I don't know.
Variety.
Variety.
I suppose it's down to like what you variety in. Like you could be a variety PvP player, like yourself, Condi, and then you play Death Stranding out of nowhere. But
Yeah.
but that's what I mean. You've got like your Valorant, your Warzone, Crucible comp or Trials, let's say,
Mhm.
and that's probably the same with you, Grog and Polar, because I've seen you guys on those games as well. And then there's obviously like me, that's more about every single game, but there's certain games that I kind of gravitate towards that my friends play,
Mhm.
I suppose. So I suppose the word variety is just kind of, it's changed a lot from when I remember someone saying they were a variety streamer back in like the early days of Twitch.
That's my thoughts as well, because the kind of the it's like an unwritten rule, I guess, that everyone always does. Well, is it unwritten if everyone talks about it? I don't know. Either way, it's like the
Unspoken.
overarching
Still
thing
unwritten.
is
unspoken.
that. Well, but it is spoken about, so I think I'm
Yeah, it's
honestly
not written,
just.
so the unwritten.
Yeah, I'm just talking rubbish. Ignore me. But I guess what everyone kind of
I'm actually
always
on your
thought
side, Condi.
makes a change, Polar. That's all I'm
Stop
saying.
pushing him away.
The kind of overall thinking usually is that if you main one game, it is easier to grow. And there are absolutely streamers out there who will only stream one game. And there's people I know that will play other games off stream, but they stream just one game. That is it, because that's where their audience is. That's what they've built up. And, you know, it can be hard, as we all know, to switch on another game someday, and nobody wants to watch that. Even if you think, oh, this is good content, it's such a shock to your audience that are there to see a specific thing. Personally, I've never, as much as I've always said, well, Destiny is the main game, I've never been able to have my attention held fully by that. And to me, I would rather not be sitting going, oh, I'm really enjoying Valorant. Oh, well, it's stream time. Stop the fun. Let's load up my stream game and just play that, because that's what stream expects. I can't do that, and I spend so much time at my computer streaming and doing things that I want to be having fun. I mean, like you said, obviously Death Stranding, out of nowhere. I had a blast on that game. It took me, 8 months to finish it, right? Which I did finish it, Kibbles. I did. But like, I'm also
Thank
going
God
to be...
your mail doesn't take that long to deliver.
I'm also planning on actually doing Dark Souls this coming week. I've never played a Dark Souls game before.
Which one? The first one?
I've been told Dark Souls 3. That's what everyone's telling me.
Yeah,
to
Dark
do.
Souls 3 is the best out of the trilogy. I beat Dark Souls 1 a couple months ago, but yeah, it's definitely jump into it.
I've
It
never done a
kicks your
Dark
ass.
Souls game.
It does kick your ass.
Oh, it will.
I've got a
I'm
proposition.
sure.
Every single time you die, you take a shot of rum.
Aye,
Can't
aye.
stream again.
You know what though? I'm expecting. I don't know why, but I just have this feeling that I might actually be super good and just go a zero death run. My first ever time
I
playing
don't know
through.
why.
You never know. I
wanna
could
watch
be the
someone-
best Dark Souls player. I've just never tried it.
If
Every
you
time
want to
think
watch
you're
someone
about to
that
die,
is,
just go to
like,
an in stream.
Yeah.
Oh man, sorry guys. Oh,
the best inspiring thing to watch for Dark Souls and like Bloodborne and all those games is there's a streamer called Happy Hob, and he's currently doing the God Run 2.0. The first run he did was the God Run, which was it's called Soulsborne. So it's Demon Souls, Bloodborne, Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, no hits. The whole franchise.
Whoa.
And at the moment, he's doing Soulsborne
That's
Akira.
crazy.
So he's doing Demon Souls, Bloodborne, 1, 2, 3 Dark Souls, and Sekiro. He is like, it's super inspiring. It makes you feel like you want to play Dark Souls. And I've got Sekiro in my back locker that I'd love to play at some point, and also Dark Souls 3. And yeah, definitely jump into it.
Yeah, I'm
Talk
excited.
I could talk about them all day.
I'm excited about it. The thing that everyone else has always said is that like when you're a main game channel, the plan is or what a lot of people strategize and say is that they go live with their main game for a couple hours and then switch over and finish their stream off with that. It's never something I've been good at, switching games midstream. I don't know why. I've just found it really hard to do that. But I kind of guess I approach it as, well, as long as I've got 2 streams a week of Destiny, then I can kind of do whatever else I want on the other times. And especially right now with lockdown and me being in the house all the time, it's like, well, if I can just wake up in the morning and do a few hours of Death Stranding, most of my audience might not even be there because they're used to me being live another time of day. So I can take that extra little bonus time and put it into another game that I'm interested in. I think like we've covered a lot of this well. Does anyone have any other thoughts on like variety and all that, or do we want to jump on to the next topic?
Well, I think the only thing I want to throw in is just that I think it's despite the getting outside your comfort zone, and for some people, if they have a main game, or they have like, for a lot of us, there's maybe a title or a franchise that is like our obsession. It can be a honey trap, right? Because you think that you have fun with it, your fans have fun with it, that's why they found you, and you worry about like retention if you change. But the thing is that if you don't at some point start injecting other content in, all you have to do is wait for a bad run of the franchise, and then where are you?
Yeah.
Like, you could jump to the next big thing, but everyone's jumping to the next big thing. So that's going to be really difficult for you if you don't have a foot at least across territories in something else. And I think like Jimbo raises a really good point. Variety doesn't have to be, I'm just playing a fuck ton of games. It's like you could play like, I'm a battle royale guy, I'm a like a street fightery, like side scrolly kind of guy. Like you could pick a niche and just stick to that and still have enough that you could be known for, oh, I'm the person that does like these Bloodborne, Dark Soulsy, Sekiro kind of
Not
games that are like,
pigeonholing yourself.
yeah,
into
exactly,
a whole box
like you,
yourself in.
but you could still profile yourself, and I think that's a really good point. So I appreciate Jimbo mentioning that, because it's like you can create an identity that doesn't have to be, I'm gonna play everything, but still have this profile of, oh, he's that kind of streamer, or she's that kind of streamer.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%.
My biggest inspirations is Co Carnage, because he's one of the biggest faces on the platform, and he plays whatever he wants, whenever he wants. Well,
did he always play whatever he wanted?
I think he started with. I think he was doing he did an MMO way back when like Twitch was just starting, and then he used to be an MMO variety streamer. Like he used to jump between new MMOs, and then jumped into like full blown variety.
Yeah.
And went from there. But obviously, it's just the goal, I think, for any variety streamer is to be able to load up the stream and just go, we're playing this today. And I suppose it's for everybody, really. You turn on the stream and people will be there no matter what you play.
Exactly.
And that's the end goal, I suppose. But yeah, that you made a really good point, Grog, about the pigeonholing, because I felt like I'd done that. And when you feel like you'd done that, it's very hard, because it especially happened when Season of the Drifter started, because I was like, do I want to be playing Gambit for 3 months? Not really. And then I wasn't prepared when Season of the Drifter happened, and I ended up taking a break from streaming because I wasn't prepared to. I was like, well, what am I going to do? I don't know what I'm going to play. Like, it's hard to like figure out, are people still going to watch me because of Destiny? And I was just like, get back to it. Season of Opulence, go from there, and then when the time comes, make sure you prepped, because that's the thing about playing one game. You end up having so many games to catch up on that you want to play.
Yeah.
And if they're relevant on Twitch, there's viewers there for you, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I will. Hopefully anyone listening that's considering variety streaming or switching from a main game to variety or anything, hopefully you got something out of that. I don't think any of us are there's no right or wrong way to do it, but there's just maybe some best practices to follow. There's a question in the live chat which I want to quickly get to before we move on to the topic, as this comes from one of our moderators, and the question is, any tips on holding chat while no one is there speaking? So, I mean, I'm gonna throw it to Polar because he's not been saying a whole bunch, and I feel
I
like
mean,
he's
it's
gonna
sleep
have.
fucking full
I
out
feel
that
like he's
one.
gonna have a solid answer for this. So, you got any
No,
tips
I've
for what to
actually
do?
been taking some notes for some other stuff.
Okay.
That was a blank sheet of paper.
It's not
I saw
blank.
it. Grocery lists don't count.
No, that I read that question from Wolfie. And it's a hard question because it's a hard answer for me because I mean I fall into that all the time, all the time. You know, whether people are
We all
in
do,
chat or
yeah.
not in chat. Like even so, a couple weeks ago, I got a big raid from FPS Crystal, right? And obviously a bunch of people came in, blew everything up, and then
Ruined
you
our
know, a lot of
trials
people
card.
obviously ruined our trials. Yeah, that's what it was. It was-
Polar just muted, and we were
We
like,
would have won. Luminosity was going down.
yeah, Lumi. I had Lumi on the road. Thanks, Crystal. But you know, after the big ruckus and everybody blowing everything up and whatever, a lot of people leave. But then a lot of people stay, whether they're leftover lurkers or whatever. But you know, I'm sitting there with like 80 plus people, and for the most part, no one was saying anything. I did get lucky because finally there was like one or two people that stayed and kind of kept conversation going. But no, yeah, I mean, so it's not even a thing of like, oh, I don't have many viewers. You can have a shit ton of viewers and still not have anybody talking
Yeah.
at all. And for me, it's hard because because it's two different mindsets. You have a gaming mindset. I want to play this game. I want to win. I want to beat. And then you're like, oh, well, I'm also streaming. I need to also be some sort of
we have an echo from somewhere.
Entertainer.
Yeah, a little echo.
like entertainment, or not even just entertainment, but what's the word I'm looking for? You know what I'm talking about?
Engagement.
Thank you. Yeah, that's it.
There you go.
What is this?
Engage me. Yeah, so it's hard. And so like I can't, because when I play a game, I'm not
That's coming through your mic, Grog.
Oh,
when I have when I'm playing a game, you know, I'm not thinking about chit chatting with anybody. You know, I'm trying to focus on like, let me not try to miss this shot that I'm probably gonna miss anyway. But so that whole long thing to say, I don't really have an answer because I'd struggle with it. So
Well, we all do.
Um,
It's something that
I
everyone
mean,
faces.
it's a hard thing to do. And I mean, there's people that point out, they're like, just, talk about what you're doing. Which
I just got killed.
yeah, and that's the thing. So it's like oh, I'm walking. I'm gonna peek around this corner. For me, it just sounds cheesy and dorky. I don't know. And so it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I personally think this is quite an easy question to like answer.
All right, well, go.
You, buddy. I think one of the main things that you go to YouTube for is to consume content, and there is that. There's no interaction between the YouTuber and the people actually viewing that video at that very specific moment in time. So people translating that into streaming, you react to the content that you've got in front of you. If you haven't got any chatters, you need to react to the thing that's happening in front of you. And if you can talk about the game that you're playing, talk about the strats, and then if somebody then starts speaking to you, you can then move on to that content and engage everything. One thing that I feel a lot of people do is complete dead silence. Or if they've got
Yeah.
people that are in the Discord at the time, they'll chat to them, but they won't actually talk about the physical game. I think once you can flip it on its head and then focus on the game that you're playing, whether it be just talking about the gun that you're using, the recoil patterns, and then if somebody asks you a question about it, you don't even need to focus on chat. If you look at Tim the Tatman, if you look at Dr. Lupo, they rarely look at chat.
And they also have shit blowing up constantly.
That's why it's hard. Like, yeah.
their chat moves at a different speed
Yeah.
than mine does.
Yeah.
True, but at that same time, they manage to allow their content to become what they're actually physically doing, and people tune into them not because chat's scrolling and you can't read it, but it's
Right.
because they're actually engaging with their audience without actually physically talking to them. They're talking about the game, they're talking about their feelings, their emotions towards the games, what they're doing, strategies, all that kind of stuff. I think it's once you switch like being able to produce content on stream that doesn't incorporate your viewers, you can then pay so much more attention to them because you're not focusing on, oh, no one's talked, but you're enjoying the stream, you're enjoying talking about everything that you're doing. I think that's one of the most crucial things that you can do is enjoy what you're doing and talk about it. You don't have
Yeah.
to focus on everything.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's about engagement. Like sometimes, like for example, I'd like to point to Kibbles. Kibbles is like very loud and bombastic and like in a good
I'm
way.
very quiet. I don't know what you're talking about.
But one thing I noticed is that I can tune into to his channel sometimes, and instead of like he's never just stone faced, just like playing the game. Even if he's not saying anything, you can tell he's really into the game. Like he's just smiling. I've tuned into some streamers where maybe they engage chat a little bit, maybe they narrate a little bit, but they just look like they couldn't fucking be bothered to like really be into the thing that they're doing. And it's like that kind of shows. Like you
Think
could
this
watch
is a good
somebody
game.
do the most mundane thing, and if they're loving it, it can be a joy just to watch somebody enjoy something.
Mm.
I think Haj raised a question further up that was getting past viewer threshold, and like, you know, I guess that kind of touches a little bit on like what Cyber mentioned, which is, I mean, if you have a very low viewer threshold, as a lot of us do, like you need to probably think more about, well, how do I appear engaging? How do I, not just in the act of playing the game, but like, how do I engage the chat? I've had a funny predicament where, and then there's people like Lupo and Tim the Tatman and whoever, Doc, who like have thousands of people watching. There's no way you could keep up on it because it's just scrolling a mile a minute. The thing that I've struggled with recently, which was kind of a very weird sensation, was people in chat not trying to converse with me, but actually conversing with each other. And I was like, wait, am I supposed to? Should I?
Mm-hmm.
Are they? Oh, they're just asking each other a thing, and like, and not knowing when, like, when that's their time, their conversation, and letting them have that conversation, and then when I should be a part of it and when I should just focus on the game. That's just kind of a weird thing for me because I've just noticed that there's now people. Before I was always struggling to get people to engage me, period. And then now people are engaging each other, and I'm kind of like, oh, this is kind of nice. I don't actually have to look at chat. I can actually just play. I don't have to worry because they're doing their own thing and they're having their own dialogue, and that can run parallel to the game, or it can be completely tangential. And they were talking about like, I don't know, their favorite barbecue sauce or some shit, and it's just like, okay, cool. We're playing Warzone. Talk about barbecue. Like,
I love
it's
that.
all good.
That's my favorite part when stuff happens, like when it is not game related. Because like I
Yeah.
mean, especially when you play the same game. I mean, we all pretty much play Destiny. I mean, obviously we got other different things going on, especially with Jimbo being all variety and stuff. Whatever, Jimbo. And,
You did.
but it's like no one, everyone that's in there, like there's, I don't know, I don't experience too many like, oh wow, what's this game? Like people popping in like, haven't seen this before. You'd have to be scrolling pretty far down on the Twitch list to find a game to find Destiny if you're like never heard of it before. You know what I mean? So it's like it's hard to be like, oh man, here, let's try Thorn out a bit. Heard this gun's pretty, I don't know. So it's like, so I like it when people are like barbecue sauces. I'm like, yeah, I can get behind that. You want to talk about some sous vide? I'll talk about some sous vide. You know what I
By the
mean?
way,
Like,
Carolina barbecue sauce is the superior one. So.
No comment.
I will say though
It
that
is.
like
Yeah.
Polar touches on something that's also really important, that it allows people to have a window into you that isn't the game.
yeah,
Like if you mention something, you're just like, oh yeah, yeah, blah blah blah, and then you mention something about cars, or you mention something about sports, you mention something about art or literature or music or movies or whatever, then people start to see a bigger picture of you than just, oh, it's this person in front of this green screen, or it's this person with this kind of like overlay like theme. They you stop being so one dimensional as, when you think of this person, I only think of Destiny, or I only think of Valorant, or I only think of Minecraft, or whatever it may be. You start to become a bigger entity, and they want to engage you in different ways, which can be exciting because we are all multifaceted people. We all contain multitudes. There are things that move and drive us outside of just playing a video game. And I think that's a really great thing. It would be strange if people didn't know you and they dropped into chat and there's no one talking, there's no conversation happening. You're just like, yeah, so I was folding my laundry the other day, and you're like playing Doom and like just ripping and shredding your way through aliens, and that might be a thing that keeps people hanging on. And people are like, what the fuck is this person on about?
I would definitely agree to that point that, and to kind of like touch on what Polar said is the biggest part of or biggest bane of a streamer's life, I think, is a dead chat, and it's like as much as you can throw out questions and throw out different things, there's still going to be that point where that if you're a smaller streamer, there's going to be no one talking, and that's where that's the most frustrating, because when you're just so interaction orientated, that can get you down. The way that I have been able to handle it is by moving away from Destiny, because I'd ran out of things to talk about. Because I've slowly, as the months have gone on, I've slowly started to divulge into what's wrong with Destiny. How can we fix it? And when you've said that 20 times every stream,
Yep.
every half an hour, you're just like, okay, I need to stimulate my brain in a different way.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, having Warzone or having Valorant or having another game to play stimulates your brain for streaming. Because Condi has been playing Warzone, and when I've been watching him, there's interaction from everybody. When people are playing Trials, it's kind of like, well, Trials sucks. Damn it. Oh, it's Trials. Ah. Yeah.
Oh, I lost again. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, we failed.
Reset the
And then we
card
get to
again.
win. And then it becomes like a repetitive cycle, and it's down to you to just like take a step back and kind of go, well, what can I do to engage people that is positive and fun, that isn't talking about the game? If you can if that what you said, Grog, if you can get people to talk to you about something that isn't the game, you've won as a streamer, because you've got them to engage in you. And then if you can engage them with you, they will stay for whatever. Even if it's for an hour, they come to your stream for an hour every day, they'll engage with you, not the game. Not, oh, hey, can you, exclamation point drops, raffle, carry me, please, right? Rather than just, hey, barbecue sauce is pretty heckin' good, man. Like,
Because like you said, then you start to ferment a relationship that will allow you to transcend one franchise. You can move between games because people are coming back for you, they're coming back for the community. I think Condi has done a remarkable job cultivating a community, one in part because he has a really captivating personality. He's just a very funny dude.
Punching bag.
Punching
bag.
You're the end of this shit now.
I'm done. I'm out.
Jesus.
All right. What I mean to say is Condi Googles a lot of jokes. No, I think that like people come to different streams for different reasons, and I think for me, like what made me stop by his and what made me stay was just that everyone, like, the chat was super engaged. There's so many it's almost like really telling when you see a start streaming chat that's just like, it's just the intro music and then just like a blank overlay and just saying like starting in 5 minutes, and there'll be either no one talking or lots of people talking. And Condi's immediately, people are like, am I first? Did I get here first? Like, that's whoever that streamer may be. It need not be him, but like anybody at all, like that is ideally the thing that, if you can work towards building a community, if you can work towards having a level of interaction that isn't just please Fallout plays, tell me if this is just shotgun roll good. Because that person, like Jimbo said, that person is coming with a question, seeking an answer. They get the answer and they're like, okay, that roll's good. And then they go off and they play their game. Some people just may not stay. But if you give them something more, that really is the thread that will maybe carry them across multiple games as you move between material, if you are looking to do variety.
What I this is actually perfect, right? Because the other topic we wanted to discuss today was like viewer retention, keeping a community engaged, keeping your audience engaged, and particularly as well, Polar brought up the fact that he got like a large raid recently. Raids as a whole, and obviously the idea of a raid, you get maybe an influx of people into your channel, and in my experience, a lot of the time there's a very sharp drop off of those viewers. They come in, spam their emotes, raid, hype, excitement, and then there's a big drop off, right? I understand it. I'm guilty of it too. When I raid a channel, or if I'm hanging out with someone and they raid, I'll stick around for a bit. But I was there to watch Kibbles, and when he raids Polar, I'm like, yeah, just later. But the topic around how to keep those viewers engaged, how to get that attention that makes somebody want to stick to your channel, right? And I think with raids, a lot of it is on the onus of the person who's raiding, because if I'm streaming Destiny and then I go and raid somebody who's playing Pokemon, I can't necessarily expect there to be a huge crossover where my community are interested in that. So a lot of the time, if I'm looking for, okay, I want to raid and support this person, it helps if they're playing a similar game, right? That there might be some crossover and attention. But recently somebody had asked me about, what can I do when I receive a raid to keep that attention on me? Right now, I'm no expert in this. I'm hoping that you guys have got some answers, some things of maybe what you do if you do receive a raid. I mean, there's been a couple of times where I've received large raids where it's like deer in headlights. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't focus on the game, and I make a terrible first impression, just awful, right? And people are like, this guy's kind of weird. He doesn't seem to speak English anymore. I don't know what's happening, I think the key thing to remember, particularly if you have got a dead chat, happens to all of us, right? All of us started streaming with 0 viewers. It happens to me still constantly, right? I have days where it's very great and chat's moving and it's wonderful, but then I have days where there's just nothing going on, right? The key thing to remember is that people are lurking. Lurkers are the lifeblood of Twitch. I've had in the past a couple of times where there's been a sort of a light bulb moment when somebody will say, hey, I've been lurking in chat for a couple of weeks. I've really enjoyed it. This is my first time actually chatting. And that's that moment where I'm like, people are here just watching and they don't want to talk. Maybe they're anxious or shy, or they don't want to, they're busy, but they're watching the content. And like I say, there has been a couple of times where that exact thing has happened, where somebody new has appeared and joined chat, but it's taken them a couple of weeks to get into it. Remember that even if no one's talking, there's a very good chance somebody's watching, and you need to be engaging. If somebody clicks into your channel, you've got 10 seconds before they're gone. So be talking, be active, and just remember that there's always a potential. If you're live, there's always a potential to engage someone. And all you have to do is say the right thing that they go, hey, I also like barbecue sauce. I'm going to talk about this, right? And
I love how we're using it.
I think this is a great analogy. I love it. The
zero strategy barbecue sauce, right?
That's
I'm on it.
Oh, branding, yes. The secret, the secret that I have, which I've always said is something that I try and do, is I will just say something outrageous. I'll make a claim. I'll say, okay, guys, I may have went a 0.3 KD that last game. This game I'm popping off. This game I'm doing this. I'm gonna get an ace in this game, or I'm gonna get 4 kills with this Nova Bomb. Sometimes it can be anything, right? Food. Talk about food. People love talking about food. You have no idea how much shit I've got because I don't like mint chocolate, right? And it's a meme now. It's such a thing. And if chat's quiet, I can just be like, hey, so how about mint chocolate, right? Sucks, doesn't it? People are immediately, they're like, hang on a second, let me get my keyboard.
The Scottish Jerry Seinfeld.
But it's engagement, right? You can say something like that, and maybe somebody that is lurking, they're not sure, maybe they just popped into the channel, they're gonna feel like they want to comment, they're gonna want to get involved, and that's sometimes all it takes. You get one person talking in chat, you build that connection. Like Grog was saying, if your community are there and they're talking amongst themselves and just welcome that person in, then you might have just secured a new community member that wants to watch your stream. It's hard, yes, when there's nobody in chat, there's nobody talking, but just remember that there's always a chance. Anything can happen on Twitch at any moment. So make sure you are being engaging, you're talking, even if no one's talking back. Have a list of things and just talk about them. Like movies, music, food, anything, right? People will want to engage with something eventually. Does anyone else have any kind of experience like with receiving a raid or a host or something? Do you have an elevator pitch for your stream that you kind of say when you get a raid? You know, what's your guys' approach to that? Don't all jump in at once.
I
You know?
was waiting. I was waiting for anyone else.
Well,
to-
I mean, one thing I'll say is like if you're being rated by someone who you're maybe not familiar with in terms of like you don't speak to them on Discord, or you're not like in their voice chat or something, but like you know of them, you know of their presence. Like just try and, I mean, if you can just do that thing where you just sort of file a little bit away about each person, it's just like, oh, I got rated by so and so. You know, you could wait for Nightbot to say so and so was last playing this game, and you could say, oh, how was the stream, how did blank go? And that's a really easy way to engage. But if you remember something about them specifically, like the Connie rated me a little while ago, and he has this whole joke that he kind of like, you know, keeps running on about like elo and like farming elo and stonks, and like, you know, you can just be like, yeah, how's the stonk portfolio today? And like that's one, it immediately engages the streamer, and it also immediately engages their fan base. So if it is someone you're familiar with, kind of know what they're about, and if you kind of can remember just a factoid, it can just kind of become your thing. And it's the same thing you do with friends in real life. You have inside jokes, where like you see someone and you just have a nickname for them, or you see someone and you have like this kind of thing that you reference, and that just becomes a touchstone for both of you. Like if you can kind of just remember something about the person, if you're already familiar with them, then you know, use that, and is an immediate connection for you and their community. I guess if you don't know them, I don't know, I feel like other people might have more advice.
What I tend to do is I immediately play like I have like a Megalovania slash crab rave thing that plays. I do a little dance when I get raided, like if it's by like quite a few people, and that obviously is an immediate engagement. But the best advice I would give to anybody, any streamer, is that you write down your channel pitch, right? Even if it's 5 seconds. Hi, my name's Jimbo. I play video games and look dumb on the internet. Right? That doesn't need it. But then as you evolve as a streamer, you can then add more things to it. And then by the time you've described about what you do, that's enough of a time for someone to go, do I want to stick around? Yes. How long am I going to stick around for? Depends on if this guy's funny. So like my thing is, variety caster, play a world of different games. I have I'm king of dad jokes, and ultimately like to look like an idiot and have a fun and open, honest community. If that's what people enjoy, perfect. If they stick around, perfect, right? If they don't, then it's just that's what it is. Like you sometimes don't mesh with people. I would definitely recommend that switch on point. So if you get raided, there's some people that be like, hi, oh, thank you, the Condi Fly, for that host of 7 people. Like, you'd be like, oh my God, Condi, let's go. 7 viewers, woo! Like, you know, people are instantly going to be turned
Oh,
on.
don't do Jimbo, Jesus.
Yeah, but like be 110% of your personality. So take like the highest point of your personality and then add a 10% on top of it.
Yep.
Like that's the best way I'd say to when you get hosted. Because I've been hosted by Chevy. Yeah, so I had like 400 people come in. I was like, okay, it's time to talk about Nightfalls and stuff really quickly. My heart is going at 700 beats per minute. Let's just try and engage some people. And I think I kept about like 60, 70 people for the rest of the stream, and I was happy. And it's the same with any other game, and what I'd say to anybody else. It's just you just take your energy at that given moment, because it's a surprise to you, right? Someone hosting you, especially if your chat's dead or you're having a bit of a slower stream. It's only a couple people talking. It's just that switching on point. Be like, it's hard to, especially when you've been streaming for like 8 hours, and then someone comes in and hosts you. You kind of like, instead of
Yeah.
like, like, you know, you're turning up the bass. That's what it feels like. And that's the best advice I would give anybody.
Yeah. I think that's
Just
solid.
to kind of touch on what Jimbo was saying, one of the best raids that I have ever seen was a streamer called Hunksterman, and what he did was he superimposed his face on every single orc on one of the Lord of the Rings battle scenes, and like I think it was Gondor was coming down the hill, and it was like, here's the raiders coming, and it's like, it's really good. Like, he highlights the raider, like that is his moment within his stream to highlight the raider, and I think it perfectly suits what Jimbo was just saying. Like, you need to big the raider up. You don't just go, oh, thank you, right back to the flawless card. Like, you need to like show your appreciation, and that's one of the biggest things that I've seen from a streamer. Like a full, I think it was about 2 minute long video, him just being an absolute idiot. He was dancing. The chat had the very specific emote when he was dancing. Like, they would spam the emotes. It's just amazing content to try and get involved. Like, he's spamming the emotes. It's just good. It's good to highlight the raider.
Exactly, and it's
So,
that
like,
energy again, like not just from the broadcaster
Exactly.
but from the chat. Having mods as well. I think somebody in our chat was saying having mods is huge for that. Like, my mods have a thing where they know if there's a raid, then we immediately start doing shout outs for that streamer, and like they know to just start spamming that shout out as much as possible, because it's like, it's just a nice thing to do, right? Like, it's just that little nod to be like, you know, thank you very much for this raid, you know, let's get our community to go and show some support back again. And you know, it's just that little extra thing, and having the mods there to welcome people, and especially if you're in the middle of a game, you know, you're in the middle of a comp match or something like that, having those mods there to welcome in the new people and kind of explain it all and show that appreciation on behalf of you is massive as well. Any other sort of thoughts on how you would handle, you know, viewer retention, and because there's no way that you can keep everyone, right? You're not going to keep 100% of those viewers in that raid. You know, what other advantages might there be? Because oftentimes, particularly if it's a large raid, you might have some lurkers that get dragged over to your channel. You know, how can you kind of take advantage of that? Like Polar was saying, he had some people after that big raid stick around in his chat, and they weren't necessarily talking; they were just lurking. But you know, for somebody who's maybe not as experienced with Twitch, how does that help you, having those people in your channel?
Was that for Polar?
That's for anyone. Sorry, I was using Polar as an example, but for anyone.
One thing that I would want to say, maybe to sort of bridge what Jimbo was saying and kind of your question, is also too, if you're turning up that extra 10%, that 10% should be you. Like, it shouldn't be a 10% that you only put on when the raid happened. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
because I guess if you do have lurkers, or you do have people who are going to stick around and you're looking to retain them, the rest of whatever comes later after the initial raid, sort of that glow fades away, the rest still is going to be you. So if you are super low energy, or you're super not feeling it, like, it's going to also feel really incongruous if you're just like, yeah, fuck it, all right, back to the game.
Yeah.
And like, you can't like that. It needs to be genuine all the way through. So I don't know, it's like, I don't know.
One of my biggest turnoffs for a streamer is when they only get animated and only show their personality when they get rated. See, if, like, let's say there's 5 people in chat, we're all kind of having a decent conversation. They get rated for, I don't know, let's say 5,000 people, and then they suddenly get animated. They suddenly get interested in the stream. It kind of touches on your point. That like initial burst needs to be your personality from the get-go. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. It doesn't translate over to the audience that you've already got. And if I'm lurking in someone's stream and I see how animated they get, not from the community they have currently, but because they're trying to retain someone else's community, I would 9 times out of 10 I just leave.
Yeah. The other thing as well is I think like I was saying earlier about how even if you've got no one there, you know, a big thing for me, I don't look at my viewer numbers while I'm live because it can really affect myself mentally. I think like I know if I'm like maybe if I've got more viewers than I'm used to, I might be a little bit more on edge, a little bit worried. You know, like do I have enough mods here? What if what if this happens? What if that happens? And at the same hand, if I've got less viewers than normal, I'm going to be in my own head thinking like, am I making good content right now? Is this bad? Am I doing something wrong? Yeah, right. So I don't look at that as much as possible. Just I have it hidden. Don't look at it. But if you get a raid, right, and particularly if you do get a bunch of lurkers come over to your channel, even once the hype dies down on that raid, you might still have an inflated viewer count, which on Twitch puts you higher up in a directory, which means there's more chance of other people stumbling across your channel, which is even more reason to still be engaging, be talking. It doesn't matter what you're talking about necessarily, just talk. And for the rest of that stream, you've got that little extra bump in what's the word I'm looking for? Discoverability, right?
Yeah.
Higher chance that somebody else is going to come in, and maybe one or two new people will come in that aren't involved in the raid that get to find you and discover you and get involved with your content, and hopefully become community members as well, you know? So there's always positives to it, even if, you know, the chat's not necessarily moving. You just have to try and find a way to keep engagement because people are watching, even if they're not replying. I think that's about us for today. I know Cyber needs to get going, so let's wrap this up here. Anyone got any final closing thoughts on any of those topics at all?
No, but I think that Wolfie brings up a good one that maybe we could roll into like another session, which
For sure.
you know could be a table. Which for those listening at home, the question was, what topics do you feel are off topic while you stream, other than obvious ones like politics, etc. And I think just dragging that into this for a second, like you got to be obviously you need to, if that's not what your stream is about, really moderate how much time you dedicate to that side thing, but
Yeah. Well, I think that's definitely a good topic for another day. We can pick that up. I will add it to the list. Hopefully remember. Yeah, we'll quickly go around and sign off, everybody. Cyber, we won't keep you. First of all, Cyber, you want to shout yourself out, plug anything that you've got going on, let us know where people can find you.
So all social medias and Twitch, it is the Cyber Project. I'm going to be streaming on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Sundays. Next week's going to be a little bit different because Mary's working, so I will be streaming early on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays.
Sick. Thank you very much. Grog, shout yourself out. Plug anything you want to plug.
Hey, name's Grog, and I'm going to be doing Warzone later this afternoon with Condi, Wolfie, and Kibbles.
Yeah.
I've been playing a lot of Warzone lately. I know Special Effects, who's been in chat. I promise to do Apex sometime today or this evening, so I haven't forgotten. But yeah, recently I've just been kind of doing those two games. I haven't really been putting out any videos lately. I'm working to correct that. But right now, either Gamer Grog on Twitter or just _Grog on Twitch.
Cool. Thank you very much. Kibbles, do the thing.
I'm doing the thing. Hey, I'm doing the thing. Okay, I stream 7 days a week, most of the day on Monday through Friday, and then do early streams on Saturday, Sunday. Sounds like my wife is working on Saturdays now, so that might be an all-day stream kind of thing.
Woo!
And I'm dedicating more time to videos now, so I can put some videos out on YouTube because it's been like 2 months. But
Nice.
you can find me at the Mighty Kibbles on everything except for Twitter, which is Mighty Kibbles. Because thanks, Twitter.
Awesome. And Polar.
Hey, I'm Polar. You can find me on Twitch, Polar_J. Twitter, Polar_J. But instead of an O, it's a 0. Why? Because Twitch, or Twitter, whatever. You know what I'm saying. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. Next week I'm on nights, so I don't know how that's gonna. I haven't figured. I've bounced back and forth what I do on nights, but it is what it is.
All right, awesome. And Jimbo, our special guest of the day.
Hi, name's Jimbo. Thank you very much for having me, guys. It's been a pleasure. I would love to do this more regularly if I wasn't working on a Saturday and a Sunday. If you want to find me on all platforms, it's Jimbo with a Z, J1mb0
That's a Z
because
for Americans.
yeah, Z, wherever it is. I stream Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. GMT. I don't know what that is for you American viewers, but I will be playing. I've got Resident Evil 3 coming up, some Gears Tactics, Sea of Thieves, and maybe some Darkest Dungeon, with maybe a bit of Destiny here and there. And then on top of that, I post daily / bi-daily on YouTube and do a lot of hot takes on Twitter. So yeah, come check them out. But yeah, appreciate it, guys. Appreciate you for having us on.
Thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure. My name's Condyfly. You can find me on Twitch, Condyfly. YouTube is the same. Twitter is Condyfly with an extra Y because as we already confirmed, Twitter is Twitter. Real quick, I'm gonna plug. I have a video coming out in 45 minutes. It's scheduled, all professional. I'm really excited about this video. It's quite different, and I hope people get a kick out of it. So make sure and check that out. Going to be live very soon after the podcast ends. I also want to say thank you for all the follows in the live stream on the podcast today. We really appreciate it, and we hope people listening may have got something out of this. We are going to try and catch up with YouTube. The podcasts are on Spotify. If you're listening on YouTube or Spotify, we'd also do this live on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/ZeroStrategyPodcast. And also we're on Twitter at ZeroStrategyPod as well. So do make sure to check that out. I would love to get to a point where we can do some more Q&A with the viewers, whether that's through Twitter or through the live stream. I would love to be able to do that. So make sure you follow all these gentlemen here. Come check out the show live if you can. And we'll be back next week, I believe. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I think we have Java back next week. So
Holy shit.
I know, right? I've missed him. So stick around for that. If you are watching in the live stream right now, we are going to go drop a raid on someone and absolutely hopefully make their day. So stick around for that. We're going to end the stream here. Thank you for everything. See you guys later.
Bye.